What's going on, guys? I'm your host Francis Beau, here to give you guys my thoughts and opinions on anything going on in the world of entertainment. And as you guys saw, I did my top 5 best summer movies of 2017 list. And yeah, so make sure you guys go check out that list, because now we're going to be talking about the bad films. The films that I consider to be the worst of the summer. And yeah, so let's get into this list. Now, before we get into this list, I just want to mention this is my personal opinion of what I thought were the worst films of the summer. And same thing goes for the best list. If you guys have different opinions, tell me what you thought were the best and the worst. And yeah, I have one honorable mention for my top 5 worst, and that is The Dark Tower. I know that a lot of people really didn't like the movie, and I understand the criticisms, but I personally thought it wasn't a really bad film. I thought there were some good things to be said about it. For instance, I thought the action scenes were pretty good. I thought the performances were pretty good from Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey. And I don't consider it to be a really bad film. I gave it a decent rating, and I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's as bad as everyone puts it out to be. But there were 5 films that I saw this year, or this summer, that I personally did not like. So, without further ado, let's get into my top 5 worst summer movies of 2017. Starting from the bottom, at number 5 is King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. This is a film that I did not get to really talk about on camera, because I didn't see it the first time around. But I did watch it, and yeah, it's pretty boring. Now, I'll say this, King Arthur Legend of the Sword, it's not a really bad movie. There are some good elements to be said about it, and for instance, I thought the direction of the film was interesting, and I thought the casting for King Arthur was good. It's just that it's a very forgettable movie. There's not a lot of stuff that you can remember from King Arthur. I had forgot a lot about what happened in that movie, and for that alone, it made my top 5 list. It's just for forgettable factor. If you forget about a lot about a movie, like, that should tell you how unmemorable that the film is. And King Arthur: Legend of the Sword wasn't all that memorable for me. There was just not a whole lot that happened in the film that I thought was very interesting, except the scenes that involve with the sword. And yeah, I mean, I respect Guy Ritchie. I think he's a good director. It's just that this one didn't really work for me. Sorry. At number 4, I have The Mummy, and I know that this movie is probably going to be higher up on people's top 5 worst lists, and it's understandable, because the movie's not that good. And to be quite honest, I kind of saw this coming. I kind of knew The Mummy wasn't going to be all that good. I just didn't know how bad the film was going to be. And again, kind of like King Arthur, there's some decent stuff about The Mummy, but not a whole lot. It's a pretty big mess, and the fact that this film had to be a starter for what's going to be a monster universe, I think they're calling it Dark Universe, I really don't like that. I wish that they would have made this its own separate thing, and then give another film, like the whole Dark Universe setup thing, because while I'm interested to see what else we're going to see in this universe, I just did not get hooked on the story of The Mummy. I don't know, it just wasn't a good film. It just fell apart, and it was just not good. Number 3, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Yeah, I gotta be honest, I am actually one of the very few people who actually had faith for this film, because I figured, okay, it's been about, what, 6 years since we've had another Pirates movie, and, you know, Disney's been doing good with their live-action films recently, so I had hoped that Pirates would be a little bit better, and, Pirates 5, because Pirates of the Caribbean as a franchise, you know, it's not a good franchise as a whole, but it's a guilty pleasure franchise for me. I don't know why I can always go back and watch those movies and somehow find some enjoyment with all of them. I love the first one. I don't like the second one. I actually do appreciate the third one, and I hate the fourth one. But I gotta tell you, Dead Man Tell Tales is easily the worst Pirates film. Just because there's nothing new. It's literally the same thing. And they try to do this whole, like, Force Awakens thing, where this franchise has been gone for so long, and they try to make it look like it's been a long time since we've seen a Pirates movie, when realistically it hasn't been that long. Yeah, and they're trying to set up, like, a whole new trilogy, and, you know, I personally don't really care. I personally don't really care about if we get another Pirates movie. We're probably gonna get another Pirates movie because this movie made a lot of money, but I just don't really care all that much for this film. It's just a film that I personally had faith for, and I thought maybe they'll learn from their mistakes, and it didn't. It just ended up being another sloppy mess in the Pirates franchise. Easily the worst. Yes, even worse than On Stranger Tides. Even on Stranger Tides, there was some decent stuff that I could find. But Dead Man Tell Tales, there's just nothing enjoyable. All the casting was just bad in my opinion. The only one that I thought was good was Jeffrey Rush. Everyone else was just bad. Just a bad film. Just another bad Pirates movie. Enough said. At number 2, I have Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. Now, I know that some of you guys are probably asking yourselves, why is Valerian so high up on the list and not The Mummy? Well, I'll tell you why. With The Mummy, there's some stuff there. At least it's a movie you're going to remember. Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, I guarantee you in the next few months, nobody's going to remember this film. Because it's super forgettable. It's a boring film. I got frustrated just watching it in the theater, and the pacing was off, and this is the only movie this year that I could truly say that had miscasting. Like, the person who plays Valerian himself, yeah, he was miscast completely. The side girl character, she was okay. It was just a sloppy mess. I just did not care for it. It was just, it wasn't, it's really hard to put it into words. I mean, it's visually pleasing, but other than the visuals, that's all that's good about the film. I mean, story-wise, it's terrible. The character development is terrible, and you can really care less about this story. And I don't know who was asking for a Valerian movie. I don't think anybody was asking for a film based on Valerian. And yeah, it's just not a good film. Not a good film at all. Just skip on this film. This is a film that you'll find on, like, Sci-Fi or on FX easily. Like, this is definitely a direct-to-TV movie. Yeah, it's just not good. Not good. And at number 1, it shouldn't be that surprising since I did a full rant video about it, and that is Transformers: The Last Knight. You guys know that I'm a big fan of the Transformers franchise. I love Transformers, and when it comes to the Bay movies, I just don't care for those films. I mean, the first one was good, and the only two redeemable Transformers films in the Bay Formers, franchise is Transformers and Transformers: Dark of the Moon. I think that those are the two redeemable Transformers films. Everything else has been turds. Revenge of the Fallen was a turd, Age of Extinction was a turd, and The Last Night, it was the turdiest, if that's even a word, of them all, because this is a sloppy film from start to finish. The weirdest thing is the aspect ratio kept changing throughout the entire film, which frustrated me so much when I was watching the movie. Anthony Hopkins was just shockingly bad. Like, I was surprised by how bad his performance was in this film. He was just, I don't even know what kind of, like, performance he was going for. He looked like he was just doing whatever he wants. And, Mark Wahlberg was just there to just get a paycheck. The little girl, what was her name? Isabella Moner. She was alright. She just didn't serve any purpose in the story. Laura Haddock was the new Megan Fox for this franchise. And just another bad Transformers film. You know what you're expecting from Transformers movies up to this point. And this one was the worst. The story was a mess. They were just throwing in so much stuff with like Megatron and like this whole creator thing. Like, just too many cooks in the kitchen, and it just fell apart. And it was just so bad. I just did not like the film at all. And surprisingly, this film didn't even make a whole lot of money either. From what I heard, it's only made $600 million, which is good. But considering what the last two Transformers films made, it's nothing compared to that. Yeah, that's it. That's the worst film of summer 2017. Transformers: The Last Night. It's easily a contender for worst of the year so far. Yeah, that's my top 5 worst summer movies of 2017. Just to recap, number 5 was King Arthur: Legend of the Sword. Number 4 was The Mummy. Number 3 was Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales. Number 2, Valerians and the City of a Thousand Planets. And number 1, Transformers: The Last Night. So, there you guys have it. As I mentioned, summer was decent. It was a decent summer. There were some good films, and there were some bad films, and there were some in-between films. Like, they were not good or bad. Like The Dark Tower, like I mentioned. Yeah, let me know in the comment section below, what was your top 5 worst and your top 5 favorites of the summer 2017, and what other films are you guys looking forward to later in the year? Let me know in the comment section below. And that is it for my top 5 worst summer movies of 2017. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, as we end these videos, Beau out. See you next time. Peace.